Welcome back here to the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne third quarterfinal. We've started today with a couple of games, but I'm looking at the screen right now, Rhett.
We're seeing
and all I see is smiles.
A happy Jaedong, which is hard to understand, considering Jaedong is down 2-1 against Patience.
This isn't what he's meant to look like.
No, this is not the killer Jaedong we know
he needs to
and love.
Where is the killer mode?
Do you think he met a girl?
That was definitely a girl.
It could be.
It was definitely
I've never seen Jaedong this happy before. It's got to be a girl.
It has to be a girl, because I've been up to him a couple of times. I've seen other people go up to him a couple of times, and even if he's your best friend, you know, the night after a tournament, the night before a tournament, when he's in tournament environment mode, he's like, okay, you know, thank you.
He doesn't talk to you.
Doesn't talk, but he was smiling. It was a girl.
So happy. It has to be.
It has to be.
And that doesn't bode well for his chances in this series. But
he's got to keep focused, Red.
I mean,
he's got to keep focused.
That's his main strength. His killer focus and his will to just destroy you. And if he starts loving the world and being all happy, then
who is Jaedong?
Who is he?
All right, we're about to continue on with this series. We're about to jump into map number 4 in this third quarterfinal as we get closer and closer towards the end of the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne here. It will be all finished up today, but we need to find our third semi-finalist. And here we do go into Frost.
And in the top right of Frost, the red Zerg, Mr. Jaedong.
It's like he never smiled.
Yeah, he does look very angry once again, so there's still hope.
And then down here, in the bottom left-hand side of Frost, is the blue Protoss playing for Team Alien Invasion. It's Patience.
Doing very, very well for himself so far.
Yeah.
Not failing to impress, especially with, as a pro player, you know, I don't necessarily look at the way the fights pan out or strategic or little micro mistakes people make, but I usually look at the way they scout and then there's something happening where they're like, okay, I need to take these steps and play this way. And Patience every time makes the right decisions. As soon as he sees Swarmhost, he gets a War Prism and moves his Mothership core and his units to the other side of the map, so he can immediately put pressure on multiple sides, which is exactly what you need to do. And overall, he looks really solid in how he decides to go about dealing with the stuff Jaedong is throwing at him.
What do you think that, I mean, of course we have Patience who's leading this one. What has Jaedong really done wrong throughout this series? Is there anything that stands out as a kind of gleaming mistake?
Well, in game number 1, he got really, really unlucky that his Zerglings got in and half his army got cut off. He should have probably done damage or at least killed the third base. And in game number 2, he got really unlucky with the Zealots, but he did end up winning that game and played great from that point forward. And then in the last game, I felt like Patience just was really well prepared to put a lot of pressure on a Swarmhost-based player. And Jaedong did make a few mistakes, like he shouldn't have moved forward his Swarmhost, and he should have probably defended his third base when he lost the hatchery. But overall, Jaedong did not make too many mistakes last game. It was just mostly Patience playing really, really well.
Alright, so loading into this fourth map here between these two players, we do have Jaedong who's opened up for 3 hatcheries. The only safety he threw into his build here was a quick run around his natural hatchery in case there was a cannon rush or anything funky going on down there. Whereas Patience is actually just dedicated once again, so far every game, to a gateway opening here. It is double gases with 3 probes in each, and it will be an expansion play. And as you described earlier on Polar Night, Jaedong has got the best build against this.
Yeah, Jaedong is going to be able to be so greedy. It is cross positions, Patience is very far away, and Patience, I'm not even sure if he wants to scout, so he's not going to know what Jaedong is doing, and Jaedong, he's just going to be able to make so many drones.
And that's a perfect world to be in as a Zerg.
It's a happy place.
A happy place. Where all the drones hold hands, bring blue crystals to each other. And
there's no evil
everybody's
aliens.
happy. There's no evil aliens or
trying to kill them.
Or guys with guns. Just a happy little place where everybody's touching blue minerals.
Everybody's getting rich.
Twilight Council thrown down. And this is so early. This has to be one thing here, Rhett. This
means,
has to be one thing.
What do you think?
Dark Templar.
Dark Templars, yeah. I also think Dark Templars is the more obvious choice on this map because Patience doesn't even know where his opponent is, and that usually affects the effectiveness of a Blink All-In very much, so him just doing this straight up definitely probably means we're going to see Dark Templars. And Jaedong, We'll have to try to get some overlords in. There's one on the bottom, which actually is potentially going to see a lot of stuff.
Oh no, it's Blink.
It is Blink.
What do you think about this then over DTs? I definitely thought this would be a DT rush.
Yeah, I think DTs makes way more sense. I think in cross positions, I don't know. He is hiding that probe in the bottom right, but I do think that Jaedong did see the probe leave. So if there's no probe coming to Jaedong's base, then Jaedong should know that there's a hidden probe somewhere. And Patience now does decide to go for the scout.
Well, an Overlord in the middle of the map spots the probe, so he knows there's a probe over there. And unfortunately, that Zergling didn't get into the main base to spot this. But very surprisingly, Blink is the go-to here. I guess one thing that we can look at is kind of a pattern from Jaedong in this game, that he hasn't really gotten Zergling speed very often. He usually just goes straight up to Roaches here, which would lead to believe the Stalkers with Blink would do pretty well against minimal units.
I think this also might be a little bit of a case of Patience being like, okay, I'm up to 1. What's a really strong 2-base all in? I guess Blink is very good, but I don't really like it that much on this map. A lot is going to come down to how fast Jaedong spots this, and it does look like his Overlord on the bottom side has been denied. There's also now a probe going up the left side of the map, which has not been spotted by Jaedong.
Yeah.
He is getting Zergling speed now, which is earlier than before, but I'm not sure it's going to be... It probably will be done, actually double Evo, so Zergling-based style.
Yeah.
And Jaedong going for the full macro-oriented play here.
I do like Patience's build with the Twilight Council so early on. He doesn't really have to dedicate much Chrono Boost into it because it completes so early on, because he built the Twilight Council so early. And he's powered up his economy really well through spending Chrono Boost in the Nexus instead. But this Overlord is trying to get information. The Twilight Council's not far away. Ooh, it's going to be close. Oh, he turns around. Surprising there. I think the Overlord was going to die anyway.
This is still really weird because there was no gases on the natural at 7 minutes, at 20 seconds. That's never going to happen. So now, Jaedong getting a ton of Zerglings, and he's already also scouting out the left side. He will not find the pylon. He does see that there's a Stalker now, and he's got the
Zelnoga. Yeah, he's got the Zelnoga Tower and also an Overlord up north and a Queen up there too to start creeping spread. Spreading creep.
Look at this pylon placement though. This is right between the vision of Jaedong. He's getting 34 more Zerglings though, so he's going to crush this with all those Zerglings.
I mean, he doesn't really know what's coming, but he's just putting a lot of units, and now he kind of sees in the middle of the map that he kind of just has to go for it here. Gets a wraparound on these sentries. There's not enough energy here to continue to force field, and every single sentry bar one will die. But with, what was it, 40 odd links behind the initial ones that are out, there's 42 out right now. Spine Crawl has been added on. There's no upgrades on these Stalkers apart from Blink. It's Lings that do have 1-1 eventually.
Yeah.
This surely is just... This can't work.
No, this can never work for Patience. I don't think all these Lings will surround the Stalkers, and he will be able to micro a little bit, but I think there's just way too much. And also the Mothership core getting taken out. And Jaedong does a perfect job defending this without even knowing it's coming, just from not seeing any geysers on the natural.
The small little details that Jaedong's paying attention to, and this is really a reset to the series here. I mean, Jaedong really can't lose from this position, just continue to build Zerglings, which he's doing. He's even got a counterattack set up on the other side, and that gets in, and this game's fallen apart, and Patience, who was 1 map away from just winning this, is seconds away from typing GG in the keyboard.
Yeah.
And this is a drastic change of pace to this series.
And all of a sudden, from going like, hey, this 2-base Blink all-in is pretty good, I might be able to go 3-1, it's 2-2, and now both players in the same position, and kind of a shame because Patience played so well before. He was doing really well in the macro games, and this was not necessary, but I guess I understand that he tried.
1-1 now complete, and Jaedong just absolutely crushes every single unit on the other side of the map. GG's called. Game 5. Straight away, Game 4 hardly existed.
Yeah, we'll forget about that one rather quickly.
Game 5, which...
It's going to be Altazim. What an epic map to close out on. What the possibility for a 3-hour game. If we see Swarm Rose. But yeah, Jaedong probably has different plans. But still, that is a very strange map to close out a series on. It plays out much differently than any of the other maps. Just because it is so large, you'll see a lot more very greedy plays. And
imagine if that game was Dark Templar.
Yeah,
Imagine that. Just put that in your brain right now, Rhett.
Yeah, it would have been interesting. Like, Jaedong, if he might have put down Spores or something. You can't say it like would have for sure won, but it would have been better than this Blink.
But if you think about when Jaedong made the first defensive action was when he spotted the lack of gases on the natural. This, I mean, the DTs would have already
Yeah,
been there
the
before he
DTs
made his actual defense.
The DTs would have been a great option, and probably would have done a lot of damage.
Yeah, I wonder if, yeah. Well, whatever the case, we're playing Theorycraft here, not StarCraft, and we're about to jump into the last map of this series. And this has been a bit, like I said earlier, a bit of an unorthodox game here. Lots of different
I almost feel like
dynamic games.
I feel like Jaedong, yeah, he's at 2-2, but looking at the whole series, Patient has played better.
Yeah,
and
I agree with you there.
Jaedong does have the tendency to just barely scrape by and then in the end do epic victories. So that seems to be the trend here, and he keeps it up.
It was definitely. I've just thought about it. Right.
Yeah.
Some girl blew him a lucky kiss, and he was like, "Ooh."
And then he just changed,
he was
it changed the way he looks at the world forever.
He was like, "Wait a minute, I don't need a win." And you're already blowing kisses? Great! The world is a great, new, fantastic place. And Jaedong takes the 4th map, and we are going to be going over to the 5th now. Altazim Stronghold. This is the largest map that we have in the map pool. What do you think that maybe some playstyles that we could potentially see from both players? Is Jaedong going to play very scout heavy here, looking for exactly what Patience could do? Is Patience maybe going to play aggressive? Do you think he'll play to the map size?
Yeah, it's really hard to predict. I feel like this map, Jaedong probably somehow wants to get to a mass muta switch. Because I don't see him playing the style where you go Swarmos and you literally have to creep such a large area because this map is so huge. Make 300, 400 Spore Crawlers, Spine Crawlers. Like someone like Snoot would do that or Stefano would do that. But Jaedong probably wants to lean towards muta play. Or also depending on the positions, if they are close, you can still kind of do some tree-based timings if you want. But it's a hard decision, even for me. When I play this map, I don't know for sure how I want to play because it's just so different and you have so much less experience. We'll have to see if Jaedong actually has a plan for CVP on this map.
All right, here we are loading into the last map. This will be the decider to have our 3rd semi-finalist. We already have Rain, we already have Pult. But who will be the 3rd, Jaedong or Patience? As up here to the top right, as the red Zerg player, it's none other than E.G. Jaedong.
And his very worthy opponent, showing some great Protoss moves so far this tournament. Representing Alien Invasion, the blue Protoss, Patience. And he's going to stick with his plan, going for the pylon first. No cannon rushes at all in this tournament.
3 hatcheries from Jaedong here.
Yeah, he's already done it twice, but, you know, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
So, here's a question, Rhett. Was it that we don't know girl blowing a kiss that we don't know was blowing a kiss to Jaedong that gave him the confidence, or was it the jacket coming off? Which one would you lean towards? If it was you, would have taken the jacket off.
I think the jacket
better?
because Jaedong does not need a girl to do anything. Let's be serious here. Let's be serious.
Let's be serious then. So it was the jacket that came off. Maybe it was a little bit too warm, as the series was pretty heated, to be honest, on Heavy Rain. It was back and forth, small little mistakes, and the game went one way, then the game went the other way. But we do have, in this map, the Decider. Just like we had earlier on, Pult versus Classic Decider was on Altazim Stronghold. Nobody wants to play it. It's kind of the last map left in the...
Nobody wants to spend a veto on it because it's like that leaves you with other maps you might dislike even more, but then really nobody actually wants to play this map. Yeah. But in a best of 5, you don't have a choice. So Patience once again going for the double gas, not even a Nexus first. So that's actually really peculiar because if any map to go Nexus first on, this would be a great one to do it. And he's going to be heavy committed to any kind of tech he chooses that will have to do something for him because once again, Jaedong going for the 3 hatcheries.
Yep, 3 hatcheries, and he's just getting away with it every single time here. And on a map this size, it would be very difficult for Patience to punish it. So I guess, you know, calculated-wise, it makes sense here for Jaedong to try to go for this once again. We do not have all 3 probes in gas like we did in the previous game here. It's just a couple. And he is starting to increase his mineral income a little bit more than he had previously, and he's going to be able to throw down that Nexus very, very soon here. Do you think that Patience may try Stargate play and just try to play a normal game like we've seen from Rain, from other top-tier Korean Pro League Protosses, or does he try something a little bit unusual like we've seen so far?
He might, but if he would want to go for Stargate play, I really feel like he could have done a much more greedier build for it. So against the 3 hatcheries being cross positions, which is so far away, Patience once again did not scout, did he? No, he hasn't scouted at all, so he won't know where Jaedong is. And now the probe goes out. I'm hoping... I kind of think a Twilight Council would be cool, because he's so committed to tech that he has to do something with it, so Dark Templars might be a really good choice.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's just kind of falling back on how he likes to play on other maps, and I feel like maybe he is not giving it enough thought to the fact that this map is so much very different.
Alright, well, we're about to find out his choice in a moment in time here. He's got his Sentry, he's got his Mothership Core, and there is the Stargate. So it is going to be Stargate from Patience. And as you described, investing in gas this early, knowing that he's going to have to tech, we're obviously mining this gas, he needs to get damage done, and we need to see these Phoenixes that we can only imagine being built here. I suppose he could go for the other couple of options from the Stargate 2. It could be an Oracle looking for a bit of a suicide mission into the drone line. It could be the Void Ray for maybe supporting a fast third, but the highly likely option here is going to be Phoenixes to start the harassment, to start his game pace here. And Jaedong is having a hard time scouting, obviously. He's cross-position, that's kind of the weakness. Even though you're further away by ground, and that's ideal when you don't want to take a close position assault, your overlords are really, really, really far away here. And it's going to be hard for him to get a lot of information in this game until the Phoenixes, I suppose, start to kill the overlords themselves.
Yeah, and Jaedong does get link speed this game, so a little bit more safe play from him, but that might actually prove very handy by the time Patience wants to move out and take his third base. If there's going to be a lot of Zerglings, then he could delay Patience for a very, very long time.
Do you think Jaedong plays the same style he played in the last one, maybe? Zergling heavy?
Double link? Yeah.
Like double link upgrades?
It would make sense. It would make sense.
On a map this big?
It would make sense if he likes to play ultras on this map. Something like that. But even if you play, even with Zerglings, how fast they are, it still takes such a long time to get all the way to the other side.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the Phoenixes obviously have now been discovered, and they've picked off a single Overlord, and there is that +1 attack again for these Phoenixes, for the air. And there are a couple of Zerglings at the front door there. Sentries will have to deal with that one, but +1 attack has been researched. There is the double evolution chamber coming in from Jaedong back at home.
The last time that he went for this upgrade, he followed it up with a two base all-in. But perhaps he only did that because his Zealots got so much damage done. So maybe this is still just the original plan to go for a fast third base with just more Phoenix than normal, like 6 or 7 instead of 5. And we'll have to see how much he can get done with this harass. It is going to be very important. He invested heavily into air. He's going to have to get a lot of kills with these Phoenix.
Alright, and so far only a single Overlord's gone down, so he hasn't got the best of trades yet and haven't really slowed down Jaedong too fast here. We do have the robotics facility coming in from Patience, looking to switch over his tech as well as a Forge. And here come the Phoenixes for the first time. They're picking a Queen up, and there's a 4th Phoenix not too far away.
Yeah, he'll be able to get these Queen, which is a nice start, and it would also be really, really nice if he can actually spot the double Evo, because then he might know he's playing against Zerglings. And then he might decide, well, if you're going to play Zerglings, then Colossus All-In is a super good option for him. Like, Mana actually used to be Jaedong yesterday. And he does spot the double Evo, so now it becomes very interesting to watch the production tab and see what Patience decides to go for.
Well, Jaedong's got quite a few Zerglings out that are just going to kind of put their presence outside of Patience's low ground to say, no, you're not allowed to take a super fast third in this game, and Patience will have to slow this game up a little bit. There's only 3 workers killed so far, a couple of Overlords and a Queen as well. 600 worth of resources have been lost here.
Yeah, not too bad so far for Patience. These links will be very, very annoying if he does want a third base. He picks up a few more drones here on the gas geysers, being really, really annoying. And Jaedong so far just joining up, getting the infestation pit. And it would be great for Patience if he can identify early that this will be a fast hive.
Why don't we have a robotics bay? Surely playing against Zergling like this and also seeing the infestation pit, you'd like to go towards that. He's adding on Immortals.
Yeah.
And now the robotics bay does come in, but an Immortal has been made here.
Yeah, and the time he did this on Polar Knight, he definitely went for the attack. So maybe this is just, he's just following his build the way he designed it. But I can't help but feel like he could have played through the map much more.
Alright, well, 1 upgrades have been completed, as you see on the right-hand side, and 10 workers have been killed. 2-2 is on the way now for Jaedong. Third base has been thrown down, and the robotics bay a little bit late here. I mean, if he wants to wait to get up to 2 Colossus like before, then Jaedong's going to be staring down at 2-2, and I mean, even the Hive could be near completion by then. And then you've got the travel distance, and
there's a lot more Zerglings being made, and Jaedong definitely wants to do something about the third base. Meanwhile, more drone kills actually. These Phoenix are starting to get quite good.
yeah, really good actually, forcing Jaedong to build 10 additional drones there to kind of replenish the ones he's lost. And not a bad game here, but, you know, kind of equal so far between the two players.
Yeah. And I feel like this, Patience with the third base, he's not going to want to attack. The Hive will be done.
He has seen the Hive too, as you see there.
There will be Ultras before he can really die to Colossus, so it's probably going to transition into a bit of a longer game. And now it's important for Jaedong to realize that and start creeping like crazy, because that's how you want this map to be, to get anywhere really fast.
Well, Phoenix is definitely worth their weight here. As they poke in once again, find that extractor and get 3 more drone kills. Great micro here from Patience, really done a lot actually. He's lost 1 Phoenix, but he's killed 16 workers and 3 queens. So definitely worth it here.
Quite good.
Really nice. He gets to the overlords as well, and this +1 attack is helping out a bunch. Really great Phoenix play here from Patience, and he is finding himself in a pretty decent position. But we do have the Ultralis Cavern on the way already. A second Forge is coming in, and Patience definitely look to play this one long with that second Forge coming in. Even more Queens have been found here.
And Patience at this point probably definitely realizes what's happening. This is a very standard way to play Zerg. Ever since Hulks came out, actually.
Yeah.
And if he wants to fight against Ultras, he's probably going to want to add a second Robotics and start pumping out some Immortals.
That's right. Very useful units there. Is there an opportunity where Jaedong can take a fight with his Ultralis early on in this game? Because obviously the game, the longer that goes on, Patience is going to be set up quite well if he starts to mold his composition. But I hold that thought, because he's starting to... Where is he going with his army? Okay, I thought he started to march forward here.
He's just gonna take a 4th base, I think, and he already started a wall at his 3rd base. And normally what you can do on a lot of maps is you send forward your slow queens, like 6 of them, and then by the time the ultras arrive, you have a lot of transfuses and you have a nice little timing attack. But on this map, I feel like the timing attack does not exist.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say if he has that.
You're making the ultras, but what are you going to do with them? Like, Ultras are really good if Protoss attacks you, and you can fight with them, but if Patience is just going to set himself up with a really nice building wall and just wait there, then Jaedong kind of comes into a situation where he has a lot of Ultras, but it's really cost inefficient to fight, so...
But surely he's got to take a fight. He can't just build them and sit back and let Patience build the correct army. What
could be really cool is if he just waits to see if he gets attacked and builds up a lot of resources and then makes them in case he needs them, but otherwise just gets a lot of upgrades and other tech.
Well, he's got the Spire on the way. You know, that's another tech he can use here. Whether we go straight up to the Greatest Spire, we don't even know yet. But a Fungal is down on these Phoenixes. And, well, the Phoenix harassment has come to an end. Good night, boys. Good job. You've done Patience proud. Rest in peace.
Yeah, and this is actually a big deal because now these queens have free reign to start spreading creep on the map, and Jaedong got his map control back. Obviously, against Muta switches, also those Phoenix would have been very useful.
Look at the links on the left-hand side here.
Oh, killing the rocks.
And not only that, but this. If they get to this 4...
Cancelling that 4th would be a really nice win for Jaedong. And it looks like he might be able to because the army is very far away.
Yeah, I mean, he has recall, but...
But that's Cracklings.
It's Cracklings, man. 2-2 Cracklings. He's going to go for it here. And this is a nice victory. Definitely nice victory here. He's going to get that Nexus. And that's going to slow down Patience, obviously trying to play the defensive player out of position, and down it goes. Nice little maneuver there, trading off Zerglings for that 4th, sorry. That's a nice little victory.
And Jaedong is getting a lot of Ultras. I think he's going to go up to about 7.
Yeah,
maybe
got a lot of Queens.
I think maybe using Nidus Worms or something might be quite nice on this map.
All right,
and getting the Greater Spire.
Yeah, Greater Spire too. So, coming back to the Ultralis though, does he want to take a fight at all, or is he just trying to mold a composition where it's Ultralis and Broodlords and wait?
I think he's probably going to wait. The best scenario for Jaedong is that Patient actually comes out and attacks him. So then he can use the Ultras to flank. But Patience, well, he seems happy retaking his 4th and just adding more Immortals to his composition. So both sides just kind of working on their ideal unit compositions, and what Jaedong might do is wait for his Brute Lords to do a huge timing attack.
He hasn't seen the Corruptors or the Great Aspire Patience yet, so he's kind of without knowledge of that coming into play here, but he has found a way to use the Warp Prism and actually get Zealots towards this 5th base. And Queens are on the way. There are transfuses available, but it's going to be very close. But not close enough. The Warp Prism is going to come help these guys or not? No, he's actually going straight to the main base.
Patience is actually looking like he wants to go for some kind of attack here. He's got all his units in the middle of the map. He's got 2 Immortals, 3 Colossus, 4 Archons, 4 Templars who will have Storm as well. He's got 2/2 upgrades, and it looks like he wants to get something done.
Is this an attack or is this clean and creep and just putting pressure on?
I think it's clean and creep because this is very scary against Ultras. He's not quite ready yet. He might want to wait for more Immortals, but the problem is the Brute Lords.
Jaedong's found the Warp Prism too at the back there. That's obviously going to be something you'll want to deal with, but he's just used all his Corruptors to morph into Brood Lords here, so his Ultras are going to have to come back.
Yeah, right now it's so important that Patience finds out about these Brute Lords. He doesn't Stargate now, so maybe he knows. But I feel like Jaedong is going to have a nice little timing window where he can use the range of the Brute Lords to bait the army, then still use the Ultras efficiently. And not sure Patience is in a good setup to deal with it.
Alright, well, we do have 2 Ultralisks. Sorry, bros. You died. You died.
Smart use of the Ultras though, nice little counterattack, and these units, actually 2 more come down now. This is going to be very annoying for Patience. And he takes out a lot of Stalkers and Zealots quite cost efficiently, so this is, the recall.
I was surprised that he sent 2 Ultralists there, by the way. But then, I mean, 4 did a bit of work. Looking at this though, we have +1 attacks finally on the way. I'm surprised we don't see a second Spire yet from Jaedong, looking to build up his air upgrades, because obviously we all know that he wants to win this game in style if he can and has the opportunity to build those Mutalisks. But in this game, as we can see, for now that's not the case. This is a massive map and it's playing out to be a long one, with Jaedong at 190 supply, Patience 180, and this is the decider, remember.
Starting to add some Void Rays. I think by now he definitely knows about the Brute Lords. He's going to get the Tempest soon enough. And his upgrades are looking really good. That early air is going to really help him get sick air upgrades a lot quicker than normal. And Jaedong looks like he wants to move forward, but it's going to take such a long time before these Brute Lords get there.
And then
there's going to be 3 Void Rays.
And it's not like he can ever retreat either, because there's such a slow, immobile army. Zerglings on the left here are going to find a new base that's trying to be taken here from Patience. That would be his 5th, and it will be stopped. Second Spire on the way now for Jaedong. And he's got to be very careful. It's a very expensive army that he has.
Jaedong is starting to build up quite a nice mineral bank. He might want to start investing in a lot of static defense. And something I also noticed watching Patience play the first day, he actually goes up to so many probes. He's got 84, which is way more than you normally see from a Protoss player. And that is actually going to hurt his army supply quite a bit.
There is a pylon that's just slightly left of this base, where those Zealots came from. Oh no, it's actually 3 more Zealots. Never mind, excuse me.
Look at that, 3 more Stargates for a total of 5. So Patience looking to go heavily into Protoss air.
We're in this for the long one. We are in this for the long one. It's not a Swarmos game. No. There's cross positions here. Both players very passive. Jaedong trying to build up a very strong army Infestors with Blinding Clouds, with Ultralisks and Brood Lords, and really continuing his upgrades here. Going into +2 attack and +1 carapace for his air. Whereas as you just described, Void Ray's been added on, Fleet Beacon down.
Yeah, so this is exactly what happens on this map so many times. Jaedong went for Ultras and he went for Brute Lords, but you just can't really attack because by the time you get to your opponent, he's going to be ready for you. So now
what do you
we're
do?
Just going to have this game where both sides just work on their unit composition and probably eventually
one big fight,
get the ultimate unit composition. But in Jaedong's case, it looks like he just wants to have one good fight and then go for like a mass muta switch because he's not getting any swarm hosts. So what's the ultimate Zerg composition if you don't go swarm host?
Mass Mutalist according to Jaedong.
Yeah. But there's already 5 Stargates, so there can be 5 Phoenix at once going to be able to be made.
But then, this is a wild one, this one. Is the army of both players very, very close to each other right now. And as you said, this is not what they want because they are just trying to mold the perfect army and then eventually take a fight. No one's really ready at this point, as you can see. Jaedong's nowhere near ready to make the Mutalist switch, and Patience isn't ready with his air upgrades. And we are going to see this one drag out. But it all comes down to small little denials of bases. For example, that one we just saw from Patience picking off a hatchery on the right-hand side there, and Jaedong keeping the top left from being taken with Zerglings that run around there. Yeah,
Jaedong doing a very good job with the Zerglings. Also, Patience has done a very good job not letting the creep get out of hand at all. And Patience is set up very well. He's got his whole side of the map. He's got all his upgrades. Both players are maxed out now. Jaedong's starting to build up a lot of gas. So the thing is, though, when does Jaedong fight and when does he lose his supply? Like, does he force it, or does he just wait forever?
I mean, but with these Phoenixes, 5 Stargates and upgrades, I mean, how is he ever going to make the Mutalist switch work? If that's his plan, to take a big fight and then switch to Mutalisks, how can that work with these upgrades and 5 Stargates and range already done? He's already set up.
Yeah,
and I really think that's going to be a very preemptive setup from Patience. As soon as the fight starts to go in favor of Jaedong, he'll start building Phoenixes, you can only imagine.
And now Jaedong is also getting dropped, so he might want to do some drops.
Ultralist drops.
I'm surprised we haven't seen any 90 swarms, but it feels like we're pretty much going to see about everything else except the swarm host, so I'm sure Paul is very, very happy about this game.
Yep, he's very happy. He's happy to see this go for the 25-minute mark. Alright, well, 48 additional Zerglings here. He may drop Zerglings around to the back of the focus bases here. Especially, you know, cracklings are going to do a lot of damage to the structures here. DTs around the bases, and there's a lot of bases here that can be picked off. I mean, there's one that's, as we can see, there's one slightly north of it as well.
And both players just adding a lot of static defense. 11 cannons going up right now, and Jaedong has been making spines and spores non-stop. Patience got his army poking around the left side. DT is trying to contain the right side.
Is it going to be Jaedong that initiates, or will it be Patience when we get down to this final battle? Who's going to be the one to start it?
I think it has to be Patience.
Okay.
Because at some point Patience is going to feel like, okay, my army does not get any better than this.
Okay.
I've got Templars, Colossus, Air. What more do you want? Maybe Mothership Core? Surprised we haven't seen that actually, because why not?
Yeah, the Mothership you mean?
Yeah, the Mothership, yeah.
Alright, well, he's picked off a bit of static D, and then does fall back. Of course, Vipers would bring all these Void Rays in. Doesn't really want to just throw them away there for killing some static D. Very cheap and very replenishable here for Jaedong. But there is the drop. Ultralist drop!
This is a nice move. This is a very nice move. And if Patience is not careful, he might lose his 5th base.
Is it his 5th base he's going for, or the main base?
Could also be the main. You're right. Is there anything spotting on the bottom? There's...
Broodlord Harass!
This reminds me of Brood War with the Guardians.
Yeah, it does, yeah. And the recall's activated there. I mean, ideally, if you're Jaedong, you don't really want to do this drop while the army's not that far away.
These Void Rays are scary if these Void Rays find the Overlords. But actually, I think he's going to be able to sneak around because there's nothing spotting for Patience. And this is a very nice usage of his Ultras. We were talking earlier about how he does not want to lose them cost inefficiently, and this is a very good solution.
Wow, I never thought we'd see the day that Jaedong Ultralist dropped his opponent. He's going to go down, and this is going to go towards the back, the main base of Patience, as he is on the right-hand side here. Jaedong's main force is up left, and that is a mining base, and a pretty fresh one, if I'm not mistaken, that Patience has up there. And Jaedong's going to put the pressure onto this.
And Patience is going to have to make decisions.
Look at this, it's like anti-clockwise movement from both sides of the armies here. We have Jaedong to the top left, and we have Patience down the bottom right, while the Ultralist Fling Harass goes on.
And now this is a very tough situation for Patience, I feel like. What will he do? Which base will he go to defend? I feel like he almost has to sack his 6.
9 TT's defending against the drop there.
Oh.
That's...
And there's no Overseers. This is such an efficient way to deal with this. Great decisions to go for those DTs. And now Patience will actually just keep pushing. He's okay losing that 6th base, and he will keep going forward. And now we're going to be in a very strange situation. What will Jaedong do?
Look how much gas Jaedong's got, but not minerals right now.
Also going Mutas is just not what he wants to do right now. Patience has so much money to make Phoenix.
So, is this now a base trade? Is this how this is going to go? They're just going to go around killing each other's bases?
I think that's what we are seeing, and yeah, Jaedong is going to keep pushing forward with his Brute Lords.
5 Phoenixes being
every
made.
Base.
5 Phoenixes being made, just anticipation for a switch like this. And we aren't... Oh, there, he's doing it, 29!
Yeah.
And the Phoenixes are already on the way. How can this work?
And there was already 5, right?
Yeah, there's already 5 out. There's 9 now.
There's 9 now.
They can never work, and Patience has just read Jaedong here. He's understood that he wants to take one big fight and then switch.
Yeah, and this is the problem.
And he'll even see it. He'll see it right here.
Yeah, he will see it. And he's going to feel very happy about it. He's gonna might maybe lose these Void Rays if he doesn't recoil very fast. But, yeah, he does see it now.
And even more Mulis been added
but
on
these
here.
Phoenix are dying? He's only got 8 now.
Ooh.
7. He's tried to use the Phoenix to kill the Brute Lords,
yeah, but he's
lost
got a lot of
quite
money.
a few of them.
He's got a lot of money.
He does.
He's got a lot of money to keep rebuilding him, and Patience is playing this out pretty well. It looks like he has came back with his units here, recalled to that left-hand side, and Jaedong's back up to 200
But in
supply.
combination with the Infestors he still has left, these Mutas are still very, very dangerous.
And... No! Feedbacks! The feedback's coming in. Here come the Mulis. Where are the Phoenixes? The Storm goes down and already half health, and that's not very good here. And this is the epic fight of it all. The Fungals come in on the Void Rays. The Phoenixes doing so much damage. But is Jaedong going to be able to power through?
There's
He can't.
just too many Phoenix.
The transfuse is on the Mulus as well, but that's not enough. The Phoenixes stand strong here, and the Mulus just get wiped aside.
But still, look at the supply.
I know,
Sean,
it's so close.
all that money that Patience had is now gone. And if you look at the income tab, Jaedong is actually getting more income than Patience, and what a crazy ending to
Not
a
for
very
too much
slow starting
longer
game.
there. Wow, this is just 30-minute setup, 2 minutes.
Now
2
the
minutes
banks
actually
are gone.
action. Oh, this
the
is
queens
great.
are gone.
This is nice. This is really, really nice. Oh my god, there's so many Phoenixes. There's so many Phoenixes. It is all about air domination at this point. Even with all these Infestors, imagine a big swoop in to pick up the Infestors or something if they're out of position here. 5 Corruptors coming in to help this, and we are going to the skies, ladies and gentlemen. 16 Mulisks and 8 Corruptors against 21 Phoenix. Both players low on money.
Yeah, Jaedong's only got 1 mining base, and Patience...
Archon's coming in to support the main force for Protoss.
Archon's very dangerous. Lots of splash damage, so... Good choice. And right now the supply is still somehow very even. I can't believe that. All that build-up.
Okay, you want to see how Mulus die, Rhett?
Yes,
Watch
Sean.
this.
Where's the Infestors?
Not close. Watch this. This is Patience looking in fantastic shape. He's going to
And,
come in.
yeah.
He's already started to do a lot of damage there. The Infestors are behind. There are quite a few Corruptors in here. It's 3-2 upgrades, about to be 3-3 for this air.
And remember, the Phoenix upgrades are actually very, very good. Normally, when you play these type of games, the air upgrades for the Protoss are way behind, but Patience is at 2-2-3, which is really awesome for his Phoenix. And even he doesn't really even have to fear Corruptors. All he has to fear
Is the
sick
Fungals.
Fungals. Yeah.
So if we see the sickest of Fungals, there is a way that this air army that Jaedong has can still win.
There is a way, but I have to say it's a very, very unlikely way. It has to be the sickest Fungals.
What happens
Ever.
if... Does Jaedong have Burrow?
He does have Burrow.
What happens if he set up a trap or something along the lines where he's using Burrow, popped up and caught the Phoenixes while they were running around? Or he needs to be a little bit creative with this, surely.
That's one of the things he could do, and that's probably one of the things we will see him try do. Patience at this point, though, I know he's not looking too eager to really go attack. He knows that Jaedong is only on 1 mining base, and he's just gonna wait again and build up his army again, get so many Archons, Templars, and just wait probably till he's maxed out and then go for a big move.
Well, ideally, you don't want to let Patience mine from that base, which he's just spotted with that Overlord. As he'd be able to increase his army count once again. It is supply in favor of Patience. There's a lot of high tempo with this as well. Feedback storms, a bunch of Archons in the mix. So it's not just the air battle, it's also this ground one too. A couple of Ultras coming in to support.
Yeah, and Patience actually rebuilt his probe count nicely to 66 probes. He's definitely got the economic lead now. Very solid. And Jaedong is just kind of moving around his Mutas Corruptors, unsure of where to go. He's got some Brute Lords being added, which is a nice move. Very good against the Archons, especially. And it looks like we might be setting up for some kind of a fight in the bottom right of the map.
Yeah, as Jaedong wants to keep Patience away from that new base. Patience wants to mine from that base. Ooh, this is going to be another fight here. And I mean, pick out some crucial points that Jaedong has to do in this fight.
I mean, he has to do a lot of things, because there's 20 Phoenix against 13 Mutas and 13 Corruptors, which there's not a lot of Mutas left. There's only 3 Ultras, and there's 4 Brute Lords. It's just... Looking at Jaedong's army, it's not really all that scary.
All right. This is going to end one way or the other, and I think it's about to happen here as we do set up. And the movement forward there is from Patience. A probe and pylon has been placed down. He also realizes that Jaedong's mining from a base that's not too far away from his. The Cracklings do try to go to the bottom left, by the way, to get to that base, but here comes the fight. And there's the Fungals. They lock down the majority of these Phoenixes, but there's a lot more. Where are the Mulus and Corruptors? They're not even in this fight at the moment. And the Ultralists evaporate immediately. And here come the Sky. Here comes the Corruptors and Mulus Broodlords in there as well. And the Corruptors are doing a lot to these Phoenixes. Storms do come down, though. Oh boy, those storms are pretty good. But Jaedong stands strong right now, Rhett. He stands strong.
Actually, he took a really nice fight, and these Brute Lords so far are just not dying.
They're getting rid of the ground army, and now it's just a couple of Corruptors and a few Phoenixes. I don't even know how this battle was won. We never see these type of fights. And the Corruptors are going to chase down the Colossus. The supply's in favor of Jaedong, who is on this mining base as well. And Jesus, the Colossus going down as well. I can't believe that fight went like that. And Jaedong's coming for the win here. He's coming down with Zerglings, Infestors, every little bit he can get. He's destroyed the mining base. And this game on Outer Team has been 2 big fights. One seemed to have gone in favor of Patience. The other has gone in favor of Jaedong here.
And this is like the 10th time this tournament where we're screaming like, how did Jaedong do that? Patience was maxed out, had like everything available, and Jaedong just has 4 Brutalists and pulls through, and they're not dying. And now he's pushing Patience back with Lings and Ultras, and Patience is back on
there
one
are
mining
DTs
base.
there though, there are DTs, and they are doing damage. There is no detection at all, and of course there are these Phoenixes. It's not over yet. There are 3 more Ultras. Jaedong's forgotten about air units now. He's switched back to ground, realizing that that is where he's going to be able to pull this victory out.
And he's still got a lot of Phoenix alive, Patience, so actually he can use the Phoenix in combination with the DTs to take out the Overseers.
Yeah.
And kind of play like a Corsair DT type of style we used to see in Blood War. And this is still not over, although Patience is in a very, very rough spot.
Yeah, it's a very difficult spot. He needs to mine from that south base, but these Phoenixes, now that they've taken control of the skies, is going to prevent Jaedong from mining a little bit
and
now.
Jaedong is also almost mined out at his one last remaining mining base. Oh, he does have another one to the right side, so his income is still looking pretty good.
4 Zealots get warped in here to try to defect that, and 4 DTs as well. He realizes how important that base is. The pylon gets destroyed, therefore the warp in is cancelled. 2 DTs come in, but a little bit too late, and Jaedong again prevents his opponent from mining. It gets rebuilt almost immediately, but he borrows a Ling on the right-hand side there, so preventing it from actually being built. And he's keeping his opponent away from a lot of income at the moment.
Very, very nice. And the robotics facility is so far away that it's going to take forever for an observer to get over there. And he also can't take any bases on the left side of the map because there's an overlord there. So Patience going to be stuck on one base for a little while longer. He actually does have 1100 minerals, but almost no gas.
And the Phoenix is scouting here, looking for Overseers, looking for anything they can get at the moment. Killing off Overlords, killing off anything they can get at this moment. And this, what a last game we're actually having between these two players. Jaedong's going to go for that base again. Well, no, he's turning around. But how can, as Patience, you kill 6 Ultralisks?
Yeah. You can't kill six Ultras, but at the same time, Jaedong has to find a way to kill these Phoenix because he can't keep losing stuff to them.
He's got these Bored Infestors, though.
He's got a lot of Infestors now.
That's a lot of Infestors, and of course, Patience doesn't know about it, and we could see a big surprise move here from Jaedong. He just needs to pop out and grab the Phoenixes here. Is he going to do it? There it is. There's a one full goal, and he gets the majority of them. He's trapped almost all of them down. The Phoenixes start to lift because that's all they can do at this point. And, well, the Spore Crawl Infested Terrans are going to bring down the Phoenixes red. A great catch from Jaedong, and he kills almost all of the Phoenixes there with just a couple remaining, and now all of them are gone.
Now
and
there are
he even
6
goes
Archons.
6 Archons. He goes down there, sees 6 Archons, sees a bunch of Zealots.
And backs off once again. And
this game's still going. It's 42 minutes. Patience gone up to the top left and prevented another base from being mined from.
Yeah, this is nuts. Patience rebuilt his Nexus, and maybe finally this time he'll be able to get it up. But without Immortals, I still feel like these Ultras are just going to be too cost efficient.
Surely, Jaedong in this position sits back now, waits for energy. He's adding on Vipers, get the Infestor energy back up, go for one big fight, one big fungal, bit of Blinding Cloud thrown in the mix, and then look for victory here. Whereas Patience needs to kind of get an army to fight the Ultralisks.
Yeah,
he needs the Immortals, he needs these Archons.
He needs the Immortals, but also the Immortals he's making them all the way in his main base.
Yeah.
So it's so far away, it's so uncomfortable for him to max once again on a very nice army. And right now Jaedong is actually up, actually down on income. Patience still mining more than him, because Jaedong only has 36 drones. So Patience getting more money than Jaedong should be able to get more units. So he's still not out of this yet.
I still don't understand how Jaedong won that second fight.
The last fight?
The last big fight. That still blows my mind.
I'm hoping that someone is going to analyze that after the game and explain what happened, because that's just shocking. I think the supply difference was about 30. And yeah, it's another Jaedong moment, like we've had so many already. It's like he wins somehow. He wins fights.
What was one of his old IDs? Was it Never Die Jaedong, or
that was his clan name? Yeah.
Yeah. Never Die Jaedong, and that kind of lives true today here, as he refuses to surrender and always is up for a scrappy fight, a really back and forth one, and it's messy. It's not ugly. Hardly clean plays come out from this series. It's just really, really dirty. And it continues to be so. But Patience is now mining. He's gotten that base down in the bottom right finally. And he's been wanting that for a very, very long time in this game.
And as it finishes, his income massively shoots up. He's almost, he's up at 1,300 and Jaedong's at 900. So he's getting that much more money that if Jaedong gives him too much time, he will be in trouble. Jaedong needs to go now.
Yeah, his Infestors have the energy. This is the time where Jaedong can take this fight. He's got Vipers, he's got the Infestors, he's got the army necessary to take this. feedbacks. There's not many of them. And there's one grab. Oh, actually a nice storm, but really doesn't do that much damage here, actually. And an Ultralus, a lot of damage there, these cannons and Archons. But this is the fight. Here's the Fungal, and there's the Blinding Cloud, and these Ultras are going to shred through that pretty damn fast. Shields are gone on the Archons. Now everything else is also disappearing. Wow. I mean, what a Charged Zealot's going to do when they just get held down. GG is called, and what a game. Jaedong goes to the semi-finals.
and he's very happy about it.
Happy about that one.
Absolutely insane game. I mean, it started off slow, and you were kind of like, Alter Zim, they're never going to attack each other, but then the last 15 minutes, just so many crazy fights, banks being used multiple times, unit composition switches, and Jaedong just pulling through once again. And where will this end? Where will this end?
When is Jaedong just not going to lose in this tournament? He moves on again, but scrapes through. He scraped through the group stage, he scrapes through the quarterfinals, and finds himself in the top 4. And so what we have in the top 4 are Protoss, Terran, and Zerg. The game's balanced.
Yes, it is. And the games have been awesome this weekend as well. So
yeah,
there was recently a post by Jinro that StarCraft 2 has never been in a better place. And,
and it's perfectly balanced. Top 3 different races, Red.
It's pretty good.
And that leads us, with Jaedong now joining those other 2, to our last game of the day. I cannot wait for that. It's not too far away, but I'm going to give it over to Red Eye, who is waiting with Jaedong.
Jaedong, congratulations. Fabulous match of just up and down, backwards and forwards all the time. It would be great to be able to talk about all 5 maps, but I don't think we've got time. So let's just concentrate on the 5th map. Another up and down game. It was, ground, then it was air, then it was ground again. Were you conscious that he was continually bombarding you and continually coming back for the fight? And was there any point in the game where you thought, actually, I've got this now?
전체적으로 모든 매치가 엄청 치열한 매치였었는데, 특히나 이제 마지막 맵에서 그 치열한 싸움을 하면서 어느 순간 이제 내가 이 경기를 잡았다 한 생각이 들었나요?
마지막까지 몰랐고요. 마지막 전투에서 제가 가까스로 승리했을 때 여기서 조금만 더 하면 승리를 할 것 같다는 생각을 했어요.
Actually, there was no point where I really thought I could win the game. Until the last fight, I tried my best to win that game, and until that moment, I didn't really know.
Okay, what is it about knockout tournaments like this that you seem to do so well in? How is it you're able to reach so many finals after finals after finals each time?
이렇게 좀 탈락 위기를 겪을 때마다 더욱더 잘하는 것 같은데 이유가 있다면 왜 그러시는지?
개인적으로 방금과 같은 뭔가 치열한 게임을 하고 그런 매치 포인트까지 가고 그런 것들을 되게 스스로 너무 재밌고 그때 그 기분이 너무 흥분되는 게 너무 좋은 것 같아요. 그거를 즐기다 보니까 하늘이 도와주는 것 같아요.
Well, I really enjoy playing very close matches, playing a match point match where everything is on the line. It's really exciting to play such matches, and I think because I enjoy it so much, I perform very well.
Okay, so presumably then if the semi-final ends up being whoever you play, it's going to be another 3-2 game just to make it fun, right?
No, I don't want 3-2.
You don't want any more 3-2?
I want a 3-0.
What, 3-2? Okay, so Jaedong, you heard it from him. He wants a 3-0 in the semi-final, but he's really good at those 3-2s. Congratulations to EG's Jaedong. He is through to the semi-final. Just one more game to go. But now we're going to break down and find out exactly how this man managed to be yet again the most resilient player playing for Zerg.
Thanks very much, Paul. Okay, we're getting to the stage in the replay that we want to get to. It's going to take a little while longer, as that was quite a long game. We really want to look and focus on that fight that was down a little bit to the south on the right-hand side of the map. But what was interesting going into that game were 2 main things that really, really stood out for me. One, going into the map at the very beginning, I felt that Jaedong had a pretty good spot in terms of going into that map. He always likes to favor that big mobile style. Constantly we saw him using things like Ling run-bys on the left-hand side to actually pressure his opponent's bases, and he was almost using them to the same effect as how Protoss used Zealots when going into the harassment, which was really nice to see from Jaedong, constantly going for those run-bys and always really focusing on them to try and do damage to his opponent's economy line. And also, another big point that we had going forwards through that game, say through the 20 to 30 minute mark, was that clearly Patience knew, obviously, that it was always going to be coming for that Mutalist switch, and he did prepare very, very well for it. And one of the interesting things about all of that also was that during a lot of this time, he was going around and trying to avoid an engagement during, so that, you know, his opponent wouldn't lose units, and trying to kill off all the bases before that Mutalist switch would come. But anyway, let's go into this engagement now. It was all a bit of a blur, a bit of a mess as units absolutely everywhere. And one of the first things that we need to point out is Jaedong's unit composition in general. Huge amounts of infestors in this composition with very, very good amounts of energy, very full on energy as well. Now, one thing to note here is that we don't really see too many feedbacks on those. It's a bit hard for him to really get to because, of course, he has the Ultralisks to be able to tank that as well. And the High Templars aren't really in the right position to actually land those feedbacks. And Fungals later on become a really, really big factor. And also, if we go to Patience's composition, he doesn't really have too many Immortals to be able to deal with any of these Ultralisks to get right on top of those infestors, which can always be a little bit hard there. So as we go on forwards with this engagement, obviously some great Fungals do end up landing, and we have him trying to take the opportunity as best as possible with these Phoenix to lift as many of these infestors as he can. But in the end, it really was Jaedong's unit composition that won out. It was absolutely fantastic. He had everything that he needed to at the right moment. The Broodlords go uncontested for the entirety of the fight, and those Broodlings on the ground are causing a lot of problems for Patience, not only to micro, but also everything is still stuck under Fungals, and having those Broodlings nibbling away at this entire army for the whole time is a real pain in the bum. So, guys, I think that's going to do it for me. It was a long game. There was a lot to look at throughout that, but this big fight is really the focal point. Technically, Patience didn't really have to take this fight. He could have sat back a little bit and tried to make a little bit better of an army composition, but that's it in the end. Jaedong advances on. Congratulations to him moving on to the round of 4. I know a lot of people out there were rooting for Jaedong all along anyway. And that's going to do it for me. So, without further ado, let's send it over to Paul.
Thank you very much. We're going to check in with our social media friends now and see how you're watching IEM. We said earlier on via Twitter, if you could send us your how I watch IEM tweets, we would find the best ones and put them up. Well, we have a few for you. This is the first one from Stuart Connor. And he's busy earlier on. He was watching Jack G versus Rain with his son, who has unfortunately fallen asleep down there. I think that's maybe due because it's actually quite early for him right now rather than because he was bored. We also have this one, which is quite appropriate right now because this chap is praying to Jaedong. So that's good. Lovely. Perfect. And last but not least, we also have this one, which is my personal favourite one of the whole lot. This is how I try to IEM. It's always about the damn cats, isn't it? Oh, well. Love them or hate them, they're always involved in StarCraft 2. They're always involved in esports, it seems, as well. We're going to take a quick break now, but then when we come back, the final quarter-final of the day, are we going to get yet another Terran through, or can the Protoss survive? Because so far, they haven't done too well. It's one of each so far. Mr. Kim is very happy.
Really well.
Alright, so loading into this fourth map here between these two players, we do have Jaedong, who's opened up for 3 hatcheries. The only safety he threw into his build here was a quick run around his natural hatchery in case there was a cannon rush or anything funky going on down there. Whereas Patience is actually just dedicated once again, so far every game, to a gateway opening here. It is double gases with 3 probes in each, and it will be an expansion play. And as you described earlier on Polar Night, Jaedong has got the best build against this.
Yeah, Jaedong is going to be able to be so greedy. It is cross positions. Patience is very far away. And Patience, I'm not even sure if he wants to scout. So he's not going to know what Jaedong is doing, and Jaedong, he's just going to be able to make so many drones.
And that's a perfect world to be in as a Zerg.
It's
a
a happy
perfect
place.
world. A happy place. Where all the drones hold hands, bring blue crystals to each other.
And
And
there's no evil
everybody's
aliens
happy. There's no evil aliens or
trying to kill them.
guys with guns. Just a happy little place where everybody's touching blue minerals.
Everybody's getting rich.
Twilight Council thrown down, and this is so early. This has to be one thing here, Rhett.
This
This
means,
has to be one thing.
What do you think?
Dark Templar.
Dark Templars, yeah. I also think Templars is the more obvious choice on this map because Patience doesn't even know where his opponent is, and that usually affects the effectiveness of a Blink All-In very much. So him just doing this straight up definitely probably means we're going to see Dark Templars. And Jaedong will have to try to get some Overlords in. There's one on the bottom, which actually is potentially going to see a lot of stuff.
Oh no, it's Blink.
It is Blink.
What do you think about this then over DTs? I definitely thought this would be a DT rush.
Yeah, I think DTs makes way more sense. I think in cross positions, see that there's a Stalker now, and he's
He's
got great
got the
vision, but-
Selnog. Yeah, he's got the Selnog tower and also an Overlord up north and a Queen up there too to start creeping spread.
And look
Spreading creep.
Look at his
spread.
pylon placement though. This is right between the vision of Jaedong. He's getting 34 more
Yeah,
Zerglings
but
though,
that's
so
too
he's
many
going to
lings.
crush this with all those Zerglings.
He's. I mean, he doesn't really know what's coming, but he's just putting a lot of units, and now he kind of sees in the middle of the map that he kind of just has to go for it here. Gets a wraparound on these sentries. There's not enough energy here to continue to force field, and every single sentry bar one will die. But with, what was it, 40 odd lings behind the initial ones that are out, there's 42 out right now. Spinecrawl has been added on. There's no upgrades on these Stalkers apart from Blink. It's lings that do have 1-1 eventually.
Yeah.
This surely is just, this can't work. Can it,
No,
from Patience?
this can never work for Patience. I don't think all these lings will surround the Stalkers, and he will be able to micro a little bit, but I think there's just way too much, and also the Mothership core getting taken out. And Jaedong does a perfect job defending this without even knowing it's coming, just from not seeing any geysers on the natural.
The small little details that Jaedong's paying attention to, and this is really a reset to the series here. I mean, Jaedong really can't lose from this position, just continue to build Zerglings, which he's doing. He's even got a counter-attack set up on the other side, and that gets in, and this game's fallen apart, and Patience, who was one map away from just winning this, is seconds away from typing GG in the keyboard.
Yeah.
And this is a drastic change of pace to this series.
And all of a sudden, from going like, hey, this 2-base Blink All-In is pretty good, I might be able to go 3-1, it's 2-2, and now both players in the same position, and kind of a shame because Patience played so well before. He was doing really well in the macro games, and this was not necessary, but I guess I understand that he tried. And in the top right of Frost, the red Zerg, Mr. Jaedong.
It's like he never smiled.
Yeah, he does look very angry once again, so there's still hope.
And then down here in the bottom left-hand side of Frost is the blue Protoss playing for Team Alien Invasion. It's Patience.
Doing very, very well for himself so far.
Yeah.
Not failing to impress, especially with, as a pro player, you know, I don't necessarily look at the way the fights pan out or strategic or little micro mistakes people make, but I usually look at the way they scout, and then there's something happening where they're like, okay, I need to take these steps and play this way. And Patience every time makes the right decisions. As soon as he sees Swarmhost, he gets a War Prism and moves his Mothership Score and his units to the other side of the map, so he can immediately put pressure on multiple sides, which is exactly what you need to do. And overall, he looks really solid in how he decides to go about dealing with the stuff Jaedong is throwing at him.
What do you think that, I mean, of course we have Patience who's leading this one. What has Jaedong really done wrong throughout this series? Is there anything that stands out as a kind of gleaming mistake?
Well, in game number 1, he got really, really unlucky that his Zerglings got in and half his army got cut off. He should have probably done damage or at least killed the third base. And in game number 2, he got really unlucky with the Zealots, but he did end up winning that game and played great from that point forward. And then in the last game, I felt like Patience just was really well prepared to put a lot of pressure on a Swarmhost-based player. And Jaedong did make a few mistakes, like he shouldn't have moved forward his Swarmhost, and he should have probably defended his third base when he lost the hatchery. But overall, Jaedong did not make too many mistakes last game. It was just mostly Patience playing really
Welcome back here to the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne third quarter-final. We've started today with a couple of games, but I'm looking at the screen right now, Rhett.
We're seeing
and
a
all I
very
see is smiles.
a happy Jaedong, which is hard to understand considering Jaedong is down 2-1 against Patience.
This isn't what he's meant to look like.
No, this is not the killer Jaedong we know
He needs to
and love.
Where is the killer mode?
Do you think he met a girl?
That was definitely a girl.
It could be.
It was definitely
I've never
a girl.
seen Jaedong this happy before. It's got to be a girl.
It has to be a girl because I've been up to him a couple of times. I've seen other people go up to him a couple of times, and even if he's your best friend, you know, the night after a tournament, the night before a tournament, when he's in tournament environment mode, he's like, okay, you know, thank you.
He doesn't talk to you.
Doesn't talk, but he was smiling. It was a girl.
So happy. It has to be.
It has to be.
And that doesn't bode well for his chances in this series. But
He's got to keep focused, Red.
I mean,
He's got to keep focused.
That's his main strength. His killer focus and his will to just destroy you. And if he starts loving the world and being all happy, then
Who is Jaedong?
who is he?
All right, we're about to continue on with this series. We're about to jump into map number 4 in this third quarter final as we get closer and closer towards the end of the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne here. It will be all finished up today, but we need to find our third semi-finalist. And here we do go into Frost.
I don't know. He is hiding that probe in the bottom right, but I do think that Jaedong did see the probe leave. So if there's no probe coming to Jaedong's base, then Jaedong should know that there's a hidden probe somewhere. And Patience now does decide to go for the scout.
Well, an Overlord in the middle of the map spots the probe, so he knows there's a probe over there. And unfortunately, that Zergling didn't get into the main base to spot this. But very surprisingly, Blink is the go-to here. I guess one thing that we can look at is kind of a pattern from Jaedong in this game, that he hasn't really gotten Zergling speed very often. He usually just goes straight up to Roaches here, which would lead to believe the Stalkers with Blink would do pretty well against minimal units.
I think this also might be a little bit of a case of Patience being like, okay, I'm up to 1. What's a really strong 2-base all in? I guess Blink is very good, but I don't really like it that much on this map. A lot is going to come down to how fast Jaedong spots this, and it does look like his Overlord on the bottom side has been denied. There's also now a probe going up the left side of the map, which has not been spotted by Jaedong.
Yeah.
He is getting Zergling speed now, which is earlier than before, but I'm not sure it's going to be... It probably will be done. Actually, double Evo, so Zergling-based style.
Yeah.
And Jaedong going for the full macro-oriented play here.
I do like Patience's build with the Twilight Council so early on. He doesn't really have to dedicate much Chrono Boost into it because it completes so early on, because he built the Twilight Council so early. And he's powered up his economy really well through spending Chrono Boost in the Nexus instead. But this Overlord is trying to get information. The Twilight Council's not far away. Ooh, it's going to be close. Oh, he turns around. Surprising there. I think the Overlord was going to die anyway.
This is still really weird because there was no gases on the natural at 7 minutes, at 20 seconds. That's never going to happen. So now, Jaedong getting a ton of Zerglings, and he's already also scouting out the left side. He will not find the pylon. He does see